Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Sorry we're a little late, but we blame the Russians as always. Um, I've got the legendary Joe Trippi, the man I used to hate to go against when I did Republican campaigns and he did Democrat campaigns. I can't tell you how much better I sleep at night going to bed knowing I'm on the same
Right.
side as this guy.
Same
Right.
here.
Instead of having to deal with this big brain. And Rick Wilson, who is not been sent to El Salvador.
Not yet.
Um,
We're working on it.
there are those I'm sure in the government that have a signal chat dedicated just to sending Rick Wilson to El Salvador, and I would like to be invited to that chat. I'll have helpful. I know some things about Rick I can share, so please don't hesitate to invite me. So we're gonna ask. We're gonna really try to answer a lot of questions here.
Yeah.
So
Q&A.
everybody should put questions in the chat that we go. And so while we're waiting for that, Rick, let me ask you. What's it like to post something on Substack and have the richest man in the world lose his total shit over it?
Well, I've managed in my life now to piss off the richest man in the world and the president of the United States twice, um, and I think it speaks to the fact that I have a superpower for pissing off assholes. And and yes, there've been a lot of threats, a lot of people trying to intimidate me, both publicly and privately. Um, But here's the thing, y'all. It is just completely, it is like the least effective strategy on the planet Earth to try to make me back down from a fight with somebody who is trying to tear this country apart. It's just not going to do it. Just can't do it. Um, and I just, that Substack post is now, as people are starting to hear, has evolved into a political and a civic action and a social media plan against Tesla and Musk that we're getting these people with real resources calling us and saying, how do you execute on this? Because we agree that if you break Tesla, you save the country. And so, thanks Elon, the Streisand effect is real, and you banning me from Twitter turned an article that was a thought experiment into an action plan with zeros behind it. And as I don't know, maybe MAGA's noticed by now, at Lincoln, we just don't fucking quit. You can't make us quit. You can do all the things you want to do, sue us, threaten us, leak shit about us, whatever you want to do. It doesn't work. We're going to fight this thing out. And the forefront of this fight right now is Tesla and Elon.
Yeah, we talk about in campaigns putting somebody else on the ballot besides the candidate.
Yep.
So, Elon Musk is on the ballot every day in the form of Tesla stock. And when that gets driven down, it challenges the very existence of Elon Musk as Elon Musk. Because, one of the great ironies here is more than any individual in history, Elon Musk has personally benefited from government largesse. The value of Tesla is his wealth. The value of Tesla, their profits, are all tied to carbon credits, government, and the rebates.
And incentives, right, rebate for electric cars.
And that's it. Joe, let me ask you, what are your thoughts about the Democratic Party and what AOC and Bernie are doing, and should others be out there doing that kind of approach?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think being a Democrat, it's the reason I joined the Lincoln Project in the first place in Lincoln Square, is because um, it's like herding cats. The party it takes a long time to get its footing. And so I look at this more as when you have something, coalition that goes the gambit from Liz Cheney all the way over to Bernie Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer a partisan thing. This is an American coalition that's taking on the coup that's happening. It's happening in the country right now. And so, yeah, we need to look. Don't let anybody tell you. I mean, call out anybody who says it's time to be quiet, or asking other people to be quiet. Like I don't continents telling Bernie to be quiet or telling Liz Cheney to. I don't care. That we need to get every voice out there right now that's got the courage. I mean, there's so few people with courage, almost none in the Republican Party, and frankly, the Democratic Party. There are people speaking out, but we need more. So no, encourage everybody to speak out. Get loud yourself. I mean, that's the whole thing here. Is this isn't time to play dead. This is the time to get loud. Trump is weak right now. It reminds me a lot of how weak he was right after January 6th and 20
Mhm.
and the inauguration. Um, that was the time when the Democratic Party had a moment where that was the time to prosecute him both legally and politically and to disqualify him forever being able to step up and run again. They didn't do that. It's now 2024 and he's weak right now. The consumer
Yeah.
confidence is at its 45-year low. You've got he's lost fallen 27 points with Hispanic favorable. Same with independents, fallen with 19 to 29-year-olds, young people on his favorable. Right now, he's at this weak moment. And now's the time to get loud, take him on, define, go after Musk. And Trump and MAGA and define this damn thing. It's the definition battle is now. It's not 6 months from now. It's not 2 years from now. You can't wait to 2026. We have to be the tip of the spear now, and that's why again, guess who, folks? It's us. It's all of you, because it's not going to be the Democratic Party will be there. There'll be new voices. They'll
Right.
emerge, but it's going to take too long. We've got to take the battle now.
As my buddy Evan Fields, who just said in the comments, punch him in the dick when he's weak. Evan writes
Yeah,
the Underground, by the way. It's a
exactly.
great Substack. You should check it out.
Let
Um,
me read a question that just came in.
sure, sure.
I've called my two Dem senators to ask what they're doing for the people illegally rounded up and sent to certain torture and likely death in El Salvador. It goes straight to voicemail. What can we do? Question mark, question mark.
Ugh. Listen, that is a fight that I think is going to end up with Tom Homan and someday going to the Hague. I really
Yeah.
do. I really and maybe uh, Kristi Noem as well, because the inhumanity of it is absolutely stellar. What you can do, folks, honestly, at this point, is support the people that are bringing the cases in the
Yeah,
courts. Your members of Congress and your senators, they will never ever step forward to help with that. They will view it as a political risk. They will view it as a pointless exercise. It's as cynical as you believe. It is deeply cynical. But the real talk here is you're better yelling at your member of Congress right now about Social Security, VA, and things that are actually in your own community. It's just I wish I had a better answer for you, but I think that's the way that you actually will make progress with them over because it's easy to shrug off. Oh, they're Venezuelans. They're not from here. They're blah 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 blah, and mostly that's true.
Yeah, I think your point about Tom Homan going to The Hague, this reminds me so much of like the Argentine admirals who thought that
Right.
they were
right. Yeah,
untouchable. Those in Pinochet's government who thought they were untouchable.
Correct.
And there's going to come a day when Tom Homan is going to be begging for due process instead of
Yeah, he's
mocking
gonna he's gonna say
due
one day,
process.
wait. I'm an American citizen. I get all
I
these
have
things.
rights.
I have rights. You can't do X to me. And the fact of the matter is, once you break the seal on this stuff, and once you start treating human beings like they are not human beings anymore, and I hate to disappoint Tom Homan and Stephen Miller in particular, but the Constitution protects the rights of people even if they're not U.S. citizens, even if they're just here. Those people had a right for habeas corpus.
yep.
Now, getting your member of Congress to step up for it, guys, that's just not going to happen. I got to be really honest and be direct with you.
Yeah. Joe, let me. You've had this idea of having an early Democratic convention. I think it's kind of a fascinating notion. Can you just talk some about that?
Yeah, it was actually Ian Brennan at Protect Democracy. It was the first person I've heard the idea from, like a
Right.
couple of months ago. Uh, but I think the whole idea, he had an idea of the Democratic Party holds a convention November of this year to announce its candidacy to pick its nominee for president against in 2028, which would unify the party behind and the pro democracy movement around an opposition leader who could then also appoint name his cabinet and things November of this year, and
The
that's
shadow
the
cabinet idea,
shadow
right?
cabinet
Yeah, yeah.
and an opposition.
Hmm.
Because the way our system works, it's not it's not like a parliamentary system where you have the government and then the opposition.
Right.
Um, and I think one of the problems we've had is that um, I think still part of the problem Democrats have. I mean, I'm talking about leadership like Schumer. They These guys came up the entire time through leadership to build bridges within the caucus or to go out and cut a deal with McConnell behind with a bourbon
Right.
and cut a deal. They're they're not. They were never prepared or brought up to be an opposition leader. They don't there's no there's never been a quote opposition party in the United States, so to speak.
Right.
And so I think that's what's taking a lot of time, but the reality is what we all I still fail to get this sometimes is that we've been up against a movement. We thought we were in campaigns. No, that was a movement to destroy our democracy, to take
Right.
power, to do this. It was stretched over decades and built on. While we thought, hey, we just got congressional elections coming up. No, we've got to build a pro democracy movement and see it that way, that it crosses. It's Americans. It's not partisan anymore. It's Americans standing up and fighting and getting loud. And instead of being heartbroken, as someone in the chat said, get angry
Yeah.
and make sure they know. Go to the town halls. Go, there's all kinds of things that we can all do right now at this moment to find Trump, Musk, the billionaires that are trying to take the government over. I mean, there's some really good messaging. We just got to like take it to them, and that's why again, we're the tip of the spear. That's what we've been doing. That's why I joined you guys.
Yeah. Let me just say one thing, is just as a personal testimony here. I've known Senator Roger Wicker from Mississippi. I feel like I've known him all my life. Our dads were friends. I helped Roger get elected to the Senate. Um, I have always thought that he's a thoughtful, interesting guy. He's a great reader, loves literature, have a lot in common with him. He has spent his entire career as a congressman and as a senator with no greater focus than building alliances for the United States, a focus on NATO. The idea that the United States is stronger if the world is better. The United States is stronger with allies.
Hmm.
And then to see him usher in Pete Hegseth, he's chairman now. Roger has risen to chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. I mean, to see him, Armed Services Committee, to see him
Crazy.
in this position. He aspired to all his life. He was a page in Washington, just like I was. This is the epitome of his career. And how is he spending that currency? Helping a guy put someone in office and Secretary of Defense in a position who is against everything that he stood for in his life. I will never understand this. When Pete Hegseth went out, days after getting confirmed, and repeated Putin talking points about how Ukraine was
Right.
the aggressor. Roger's response was that was a rookie mistake. So what's the response now, Roger? When you have this idiot, this drunk, hosting these signal channels, discussing top secret plans of war, putting people at risk, and you invite a journalist. How many times have you done this and you didn't invite a journalist who's actually ethical and is going to come forward and tell the truth, and you invite other people? And
I,
it's just extraordinary. And what is the lesson? The lesson is that you can't be, there is no Republican Party that will come to its senses. And this is a great
Yeah.
naivete of Chuck Schumer that goes to exactly what Joe was saying. They're not there. We know these people. Rick and I helped elect a lot of them. And
Lot.
they are not going to change. They have to be forced to change. And the way to force them is to defeat them.
You know, Stuart, I know how the Roger Wicker thing. We've talked about it a couple times, and I think you made a perfect summary of it just now. People ask me a lot, like, how do we change the hearts and minds of Republicans in the Senate right now? Because they know they're doing the wrong thing. Even guys like Josh Hawley and Tom Cotton know they're doing the wrong thing, defending Hegseth today, defending Gabbard today,
Mm-hmm.
defending uh, Ratcliffe and Kash Patel today. They know they're doing the wrong thing. And I keep telling people, if you think you're going to appeal to their shame or sense of dignity or honor or anything else,
Or
go find
patriotism.
patriotism, go find another line of work. The only way to make these people change their behavior is to whip the shit out of them in 2026.
Mm-hmm.
And for us at Lincoln, it's going to be in the House mostly, folks. We may do a little Senate stuff, but it's primarily going to be in the House. And the reason we want to do that is if you break the Republican domination of the House, that's the end of the Trump presidency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The breaks, and Joe will tell you, the Democrats may be scattered and confused right now, but if they have a majority again, that's it. That's
Yeah.
the ball game.
Yeah. And you know something, Rick, you've been saying, and I agree with you. If the House falls, the Senate doesn't have a MAGA caucus, so
Right.
it's really if the House, if we can get the House, even if the Senate majority, the Republicans have the Senate majority, there's a real chance to crack the Senate as well, to get enough votes there to further put cement in the gears and stop Trump in his tracks. So
Right.
but those they're related. We have to win the House, pick
Yeah,
our
that's
fights in the Senate,
job
but win the
one.
damn House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Job one, man. Yeah.
Here's a question that goes to this that came in. How best can we urge those who want to run for president in 28 to step forward now and get loud now, not in 2 years? Joe,
Well,
why
that's
don't you?
that idea that Ian had. I just don't think the party won't come together
Right.
to create that apparatus is the problem. So I think you're going to see governors in particular. They're already stepping up and joining the fight, and I think that's really critical, particularly on the Voting Rights Act and other the executive order that just happened. We're fortunate in that both we have governors and attorneys general in the state in enough states like California, New York, Illinois, where there's enough marginal battleground districts that we can win without and they'll fight them changing the rules. I mean, they won't be able to. It's election rules are enforced at the local level. So
Yeah. The states, whatever Trump does at the national level, the states are still going to run state elections, y'all.
right. No, in Alabama may do it his way, but I mean because of
Sure.
the way
Right. Right.
that
Right.
state
Right. Right.
government is. But we have plenty of places that are going to say go pound sand and enforce it. So I do think that you're going to see voices. There are plenty of really good voices in the House and in the governor's offices around the
Right.
country. They're stepping up,
100%.
and you'll start new. Part of this is they're not famous. Jason Crow isn't famous yet. He will be. He's that
Right.
talented. Seth Moulton. A lot of people will be stepping up, and I think it's important that we throw away all our purity tests. There are no purity. The only purity test is: are you for stopping Trump and this authoritarian coup in
Amen.
our country? And
Yep.
that's Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger,
David
Bernie
Jolly,
Sanders,
all these folks
all of them.
that were on the R side that said, I won't bend the knee and
Yeah,
I'll take what comes to me. I'll take it. If they throw me out of office, so be it.
yeah,
Democrats right now, please, I pray to you, do not think that this election is about policy fights or anything
right,
else. It is win or lose. It is pick the right person for the right district to beat the Republicans' brains in with a shovel. You've got to have warriors and fighters. I want a party right now of combat Democrats who
Mm-hmm.
go into these races, and the Republicans guys are scared to death. I don't know if any of you guys who were watching this were on our town hall previously. We talked about this. They're not showing up for town halls because they can't answer the question. And it's
Yeah.
not, why are you backing Donald Trump's agenda? It's, why do you vote with Elon Musk to cut Social Security? Why are you cutting VA medical care for vets? Why are you cutting veteran suicide crisis hotlines? Why are you cutting agriculture? Why are you cutting the programs that run the national air traffic system? Why are you doing these things that are harming us? And they can't answer those questions. They can't, and they won't. And so, as these Democrats come up through the primaries, I'm hoping we get a dozen or more of Democrats who go out and really know how to throw a punch and to swing, and to not blink and think, oh God, the Republican's going to ask me some obscure policy question, when the answer is simple. They're hurting you. Congressman John Smith, Republican, is hurting you. He's hurting your mother, your father, your sister, your daughter, your son, you. And I think that's the way that you end up resetting this power balance, not only for the good of the Democratic Party, but for the good of the country.
Yeah, and look, I just got, I've said this before, I just got to repeat it because I think it's so important to realize. What happened last November was not an endorsement of Trumpism. You had a situation in which an incumbent president was at 40% approval. In modern history, no incumbent party has gotten more than 2 points higher than the approval rating of the incumbent president. Harris did a lot better than that. You
Yep.
had the right track of the country at 27. In modern history, no incumbent party has been reelected when it was below 45. So it was a great environment for a challenger.
It really was.
And
Yeah.
we know that like Nikki Haley would have done better probably. So that's not to be confused with an endorsement of Trumpism. And these people knew that Project 2025 was incredibly unpopular. They lied about it over and over every
Yep.
hour. And now that people are drinking 2025, the poison's not going down any better. So I don't I don't buy this idea that there's been some great shift in the country. In Trump's coalition in 20 was 85% white. In 24, it got a little better. It was 84% white.
Right.
This is in a country that's 59% white, and will be less so when we finish talking today.
Right.
It's not to say that there aren't places you should worry about, groups you shouldn't worry about. I think young white men are of a particular concern here.
Mhm.
But I
Yep.
also think we have to be honest about ourselves. These are the people who are most unlikely to embrace a strong black woman. And that should not be confused with some great endorsement of Trumpism. So, if we ran the Democratic Party, our message would be to wake up every day and say, we're right, they're wrong. And
Sure.
don't ever lose that. Don't don't hesitate to be judgmental. Don't hesitate to call them out. You are not a patriot if you
Absolutely.
want Pete Hegseth to be in charge of national security, the most lethal military in the history of the world. This drunken
Being
weekend
run by a goddamn
part-time.
drunk.
Yeah, I mean, you're just not a patriot. You can't square that circle.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that narrative that Republicans have been better at than Democrats is something that Democrats really need to capture. You saw glimpses of it in Harris's campaign,
A
at the
few.
convention, her
Mm-hmm.
speech, adopting these iconography of patriotism. But we really, really, really should encourage that.
Hmm.
Um, Rick, you've spoken about this so eloquently of what they should do. I mean, talk just a little bit more about.
Look, one of the things the Republicans did to the middle of the country was convince them that Democrats hate them. And they convinced them that Democrats hate America and hate the flag and hate the symbols of the country.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
they painted this picture. And to be perfectly honest, the Democrats for a long time made a mistake. They would say, well, we love the Constitution, but it had slavery in it still. And then they would go off on a derivation. Yes, it did. That's a bad thing. We all agree with that. But the reason we don't have slavery in it anymore is because we have the Constitution. America wasn't fair to everybody in the front end. You're right, it wasn't. But the magic of America is this propositional nature of the country, where people from around the world in the worst and darkest places and times looked to this country and said, that's where I can go. That's where I can be a full human. That's where I can go to achieve stability, security, prosperity. And Democrats walked away from that message for a long time. This is some tough love for Democrats. I got to be honest about it. Democrats should absolutely take back the flag from these fuckers.
Yep,
They
exactly.
don't own the flag. They don't own patriotic symbolism. They don't own eagles. They don't own fireworks. They don't own the 4th of July. They don't own the statues of our founders. They don't own the founding of the country. Look, if the founders saw these guys in office right now, if Sam Adams was walking the fucking earth right now, he would drag Pete Hegseth out and beat him with his cane. These people would tolerate nothing of what Trump is doing because it's not American. And so recapture that. You know why, folks? Because the country still loves the flag and
Yeah.
they believe in those symbols. And if you say, oh, those are all invalid or wrong or tainted in some way, you give bad actors like the Republican Party a chance to say, yeah, see, they hate you. Hate
Yep.
the country.
Yeah.
It's a long,
Well,
it's a
look,
long haul, man.
I think part of that is just the realization that no one can save us but ourselves. There aren't
Yep.
billionaires out there that are going to save us. There are 13 billionaires in the highest levels of government right now, and they are the caricatures of evil billionaires. And that's why we started Lincoln Project, because
Yep.
that was the fight at the ballot
Yep.
box.
Yep.
And we realized early on that the fight wasn't just at the ballot box. And that's why we started a podcast in 20, the Lincoln Project
Right.
podcast. And at the time, a lot of people, some of our donors said, hey, what are you guys doing? What does a podcast have to do with getting people elected? Now, after
You know what it
24,
does? Because
it's
we
like,
we we did some
she
research,
lost.
folks, and they
She
said
lost
to
because
us,
she didn't go on Joe Rogan's podcast.
right? They said to
Which
us,
isn't true, but it does show the
yeah,
power of culture. And
Right.
politics is always downstream of culture.
absolutely,
And we have to build our own message systems.
Yep.
That's
yeah,
why if you haven't gone on Says Us, SEZ.us, it's
yeah,
an alternative to Twitter that Joe Trippi and some other really smart patriots have started. It's not. It's a place where the values of what you believe in elevate your role in participating in the
right,
conversation. You definitely should check it out. I really think it's the future. And here, if you're not listening to the Lincoln Project podcast, if you're not listening to Rick's Enemies List podcast, do. Now we're on Substack at Lincoln Square. So subscribe, support it, because that's and support Rick's Substack, which is fantastic. Rick's writing a piece a week or something for Lincoln Square, and he's doing a lot more on his own on Substack. So you and listen to that Trippy show tomorrow night here. You're going to have Maya May, who's this
Mhm.
extraordinary
Yeah.
woman with
unbelievably
her
great,
show Punching Up.
so good,
So that's how we get out of this. Step by step, person by person, support by support, and don't ever think that the $5 or $6 a month that you can use, that you can spare to support something doesn't matter, because it absolutely does.
absolutely. And and
So
and Stuart, let me make one more point about that. And folks, everybody has said over and over again, how do you overcome Fox News? How do you overcome all these billionaires who pay for Sinclair and Salem and all these things? Guys, none of us are billionaires.
Mm-mm.
And we haven't found any billionaires who want to make the investment to rival a Rupert Murdoch. Someday, maybe that'll happen. But in the meantime, the tools we've got at our disposal, and look, we moved Resolute into Lincoln Square over here onto Substack because it is where more and more people have decided they're going to curate news in a way where they can get truth, where they can get quality writing and quality analysis that isn't going to pull a punch. You read the Washington Post now and you worry, like, am I seeing the whole story, or did Jeff Bezos put his thumb on the scale? You watch, even CBS, and you wonder, Are these the same people that settled a
Yeah.
lawsuit with Trump they would have won, just so they wouldn't have to worry about it? And you know, the one thing you can guarantee with us, we're never going to bend the knee. We're never gonna say, "Wow, that's too hard. I won't do that." They're gonna be too mean to me. I won't do that. I mean, right now I'm in a fight with the richest man in the world because I will not delete a tweet that he thought was mean.
Yep. All
So
right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Check in tomorrow night at 7 o'clock for My Amaze Punching Up. Um, and stay angry, keep fighting, and we'll
absolutely.
get through this together. All the best.
Cool.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks all.
See
Thanks
ya.
everyone.